Sorry, that scared me. I heard something. I was like, whoa. Hi guys, it is me, Miss MatchaBlossom, and today we're gonna be going over something that I feel like might help out a lot of different people. If you guys want to see more videos like this that are inspired to help you out, not just as a Hanfu enthusiast or lifestylist, but it also might help you out with pictures at home or with a photographer or with anyone who's taking your picture. If you want to see more stuff like this, go ahead and hit the like button, hit subscribe to let YouTube let you know when I have a new video coming out, and it'll go right into your notification. But without further ado, let me just go ahead. I was actually talking with a friend the other day. I was looking at Pinterest with one of my Hanfu buddies. We were going through it and she was telling me, she's like,
you know, some of these poses are a little challenging.
I was like, me too. Sometimes it's kind of hard to put yourself in doing that perspective of a pose photogenically done by the model and the photographer, where the angle looks great with the perspective, how it hits just right with the lighting, the background looks beautiful, and then you feel like you don't have enough money for that Hanfu or the aesthetics or at home. But I realized it's actually pretty easy to replicate these, more than you actually might think. You're wondering why I keep looking down. I do have a book and I wrote everything in here of today's notes of what we're talking about. First things first, I want to go over some of the easiest things, and then we'll get to something more complex if you have the ability to finance or whatever next. The first thing to kind of help you just pose in Hanfu, because I know a lot of us are like, well, I don't know how to pose. Like, I don't want pictures taken of me. I just don't know what I'm doing. Okay, understandably so. I will put some pictures over here of how to take pictures of another person, like what's the best perspectives, whether it's Instagram or Pinterest, or just for your own pleasure if you're not a photographer or into photography. And then there will be some that show you how to take pictures of yourself. Sometimes learning how to take pictures might take a while. It's just trial and error, like anything new you discover. I will definitely say just give it a try. You never know how you'll like it. By the way, I don't have any makeup on. I'm really self-conscious right now, so if I look really weird, I'm so sorry. Anywho, don't worry about taking pictures. Just get over that slump of, you know, just taking pictures of yourself in normal clothes. See what poses you like already that are outside of Hanfu. That way you can kind of get comfortable into it. Now, the next part of this video is just going to talk about how to kind of wear Hanfu and then have the Hanfu poses you see said so pictures on various different websites. Here are some poses that I have put together that are very common or what I have seen, and I'll show references of where I got these poses from. I did actually make it a little bit more simpler for you guys, and I wore just normal t-shirt and sweatpants. You can see these poses outside of the dresses. That way you don't have to feel as overwhelmed or as like rose-colored glasses about these. They're very simple. If you break it down into simpler shapes, structures, or anatomy, these first three categories I like to say are just option 1, 2, and 3. Now, option 1 is going to be talking about standing poses. Option 2 is sitting poses. Option 3 is object poses. So because it is 6 p.m. right now, it looks a lot darker, so I'm using my artificial light. I did write down some poses and stuff that might help people for standing, sitting, or having poses with objects. And this is kind of get you started. Other part of this video where I show you how to set up like a setting background, however you choose. I will say the first ones are the standing poses. They're very easy and elegant. Using a lot of your hand motions is going to help you there. Standing poses, option 1. Those are really, really easy to me because you can kind of get away with a lot. I feel like if you easily slightly move your left leg or right leg to the side while the other one holds the standing pose, it can add a dimension or a slight line structure to you. So it brings the panel up and it adds more curiosity to the structure. Not saying standing still is not as boring or dull, but it adds more perspective and maybe a little bit more eye-catching. You can actually move your hands like this or mess with the finger poses or learn how to do certain dancing like gestures. That might help you a lot with some of these poses, but I feel like if you don't overdo it, that's the whole point of some of these standing poses is to look not only natural and lifestyle wise, but also very elegant, if not, what is it what those YouTubers say? Whimsical. What can I look like more fantasy-like, but still graceful as a swan? Because with these standing poses, you can really get away with a lot. So for instance, you can lean on a wall or a fence or a seat very gently, or just stand elegantly like with the seat or on the seat or sitting on the seat. You know, as long as you redefine some of these movements with grace and elegance, especially to make it look like it's for everyday use. The first pose I had was kind of a standing pose where you're messing with your hand gestures. You can kind of get away with that as long as you change your feet pattern. Now there are some, like the one I have next is the I don't know pose, like the oh, I'm shrugging. You can get away with that like by slightly turning it to its side and just gesturing your hands up. But as long as you have like a perspective of who's taking the picture of you or you're taking a picture of yourself, you don't want it to look bland like this because it might look nice to others, but it looks kind of boring right here. Gesture it up a little bit. Have one leading and one receiving. Sometimes that helps out illustrate which one's dominant, which one's, you know, just more passive. Some of them include like you wearing a skirt or a bottom or a chin. Sometimes you can get away with that by just holding the dress out, how it lays out. I know one of these poses I'm not wearing it, but I'm kind of just showing you how to wear it. Having it laid out while you're holding something like a basket or fruits or just like a flower, a book, a scroll, anything that you feel like is nice to carry, or groceries, you know what I mean? Like something to kind of help illustrate. So sometimes that may help when it comes to Hanfu. Now sometimes you can turn yourself to the angle to the side while holding something, or you can just simply look away, look over. Create a story when you're doing these poses. It's very hard to lose focus when you see something very attractive in front of you. But don't overwhelm it. Just make it enough to where the person wants to know the next part of the frame. Like twirl in it or just move around in that pose. Or you can stand firm, which is the next part of that. Those standing poses is the elegant poses. It's kind of like if you were a servant or if you're being summoned by your, you know, your parents during this diplomatic time or like, you know, this ancient time. Or it's like the formal position, basically, when you're in front of a hierarchy or in a formal setting or situation or ceremony. Those are really great poses as well, especially if you're trying to capture like a kind of looking over scene, or you're capturing like a reenactment of a ceremony or a scene from a movie, drama, or just something that's happening in that ceremony, or reenacting a ritual, for instance, right? And always like messing with the curtains. That's also a really great thing too. Hiding away from the curtains or looking over creates a what is she looking at or what is he looking at? What is happening in the next frame? What is catching that person's attention? Sometimes having that or closing the door or about to do something kind of creates a sense of busyness or a sense of purpose of what they're doing and why they're doing that. I will say the second option of poses is sitting poses. You gotta get away with this. I've seen so many different types of sitting poses, but it looks so like mysterious because people don't know how they're sitting, because sometimes the dress is like kind of more the focal, depending on the dress or the chin. Now, I did sit a few different poses. I sat once like kind of like diplomat or general or kind of like a soldier, where it's like, hey, I'm drinking, or oh, I'm sitting on a shelf, like I'm sitting by myself enjoying wine. Those kind of poses are very easy to do if you're like on your own and you want to look cool, badass, just nonchalant, or oh, I'm very tomboyish, or oh, I'm very alone-ish. I think you would see like one of the characters from Heaven's Official Blessing when he's sitting on the roof, like any of the other poses where a person's just sitting by themselves enjoying a good bottle of wine, you know, fermented wine, however you feel. Having poses that are very feminine and also like docile or very graceful can also help you change up the pose as well, besides just formal sitting poses. You can always like show yourself doing makeup, show yourself pouring tea, show yourself being like in an engaging environment, kind of create this. Or you could do like you're drawing on bamboo like slits or on a scroll. Anything kind of helps you along the way. If you have props that might help this. The third option is just basically objects. It's kind of like accessories, objects, and props. It's a lot easier to create a story when you have an object with you. Some people may disagree to this, but it creates a narrative. Example, I had an umbrella. I used it as a sword in some parts of the clips. I'll put them on the side if not in the front. And I kind of created a story like, oh, I'm a fighter, oh, I'm a protector, I'm always on guard. But you could also use it as an umbrella, just normally, right? I don't have a sword with me, sorry. But like, I had an umbrella and I used it as different poses, like, oh, you can kind of tell from what you see in the video, like, oh, she must be on a journey, she must be looking for something. So it's just getting creative with the prop you have, the first thing you have on your mind. Just kind of go with the story, and then you can change up the story as you go, because stories do change up from chapter to chapter, scene from scene, to character to character. Trying to have that and just having fun with it will kind of help you not only give you the comfortability of doing these poses, but also engage you in confidence and engage you with the perspective and new ideas of new poses to do, and help you allow yourself to like flow into the motion of what the story you're telling is, especially in or out of Hanfu. The next part, since we just went over poses, is relatively kind of like another part of photography, not like scene building or environment building, more of like a Photoshop or a photo studio area. Hey guys, editing Matcha here. In this fragment, we are going to production design, and what I just only want to bring up in this video is actually set design. Now, set designers, if you guys don't know, are the designers responsible for creating an environment or a location to where the sets have the elements and add or subtract the story to the character to what's going to happen in the photo shoot itself. So that's the only reason I'm going to bring up set design. So if you're curious about more information, how to create your own set designs, I will add not only the appropriate links for research, but also the appropriate creators on YouTube or researchers or historians or actual professionals that talk about this. I will put it in the description box below, if not over this video, but I hope you guys check that out. But today we're only talking about how it relates to taking your own pictures and your own locations that you have in a controlled environment in. So back to the video, just wanted to bring that up. I know people call it set building. Do it any kind of way, like whether you're at a photo studio, in your bedroom, your living room, like a back shed, or somewhere you feel like you have a little closed off space. Or you can even do it in public or in a park. The set locations can help you too if you cannot afford to make a background set, So just think about it that way. Even going to some parts of like a public park, you want to make it look very fantasy-like or down to earth, but not like show modern buildings. Go off to an area where you're just sitting by the tree or standing by the tree or having a picnic by a tree. Anything that kind of helps elaborate your story. First, like I said, again, you can go to parks, you can go to buildings, you can go anywhere really to do these pictures. You don't need a set area. But this next part is just kind of talking about how to do set buildings from low, medium, and high grade. Set building is like what you see on different TV shows, or like whether it's comedies, sitcoms, or even just dramas or melodramas, or even like movies. Sometimes this can help you when you're new to even doing Hanfu set builds. And that's why they have like Hanfu studios or photo studios, places you can rent your Hanfu and get your pictures taken there as well. Just in case you don't have that in your country or your place of origin at currently, whether it's temporary or permanent, this might definitely help you, especially if you have the time, money, or efficiency, once again, to do these. First thing I would say is the low grade. We're going to go over each grade in detail, so don't worry. Low grade is more of having, okay, what's in my immediate right now? My room, low budget, just around me. Just having a window with a curtain and a blank wall can really go a long way, because that way you can start editing your pictures with like certain Chinese designs on the side, or the characters, if you can type it in correct fluency. You can start editing your pictures that way. So if you don't have like, oh, I don't have Chinese furniture and stuff, that's fine. Wing it, if not, get creative. So for instance, I bought this from AliExpress. It was like, what, 15, 10 bucks? Getting the proper lighting without having too much cast off shadow, which I know you probably see it behind me, but I'm not worried about that right now. That would definitely help you if you're trying to get something. You can always get these off of AliExpress. They're kind of like Chinese tapestries, or you could just have a blank wall with a window, or just standard curtains that are plain. You don't have to be plain, but having something similar to your aesthetic that you're trying to build for the Hanfu photo or photo shoot will definitely help you go a long way. People may have like a few props here and there, like, oh, a nice little Chinese lamp to go with the back wall, or like the curtains, or they'll use like a panel like that you'll buy off of like online, whether it's a furniture store or Amazon, Walmart, Target, wherever you want to get it, or even, what is it, IKEA. And sometimes some people, you buy the Japanese ones and they're not Chinese panels, but I'm not gonna say nothing. It's having daylight instead of 3-point lighting. Like I have it because my top light comes with white light. These two lamps I got from China, but you can easily get like LED white lights. We're in a low budget tier. Just keep it simple. That way you can kind of get comfortable and used to everything, and then you can build from the ground up. Now the second one is the tier 2, which is like the mid tier. So if you want to buy a few more objects than you usually do, but you still are like at a home space or a simplified space, this might be up your alley. Mid tier is more like adding wall dividers, having those screen panels, but also having like a fake plant might help, like bamboo plants, or like the different ones that are fake or not. Having a cherry blossom tree is also like another thing you can look into, or making your own is also another thing people have done as well, or as a prop, Having an end table and chair, like having just the end table, the chair, and you just sit over, have the tea with the mooncakes and stuff, or just any Chinese dessert, that can help you too. That literally sets a story and it sets a perspective of, oh, I feel like I'm actually there with them, even if the other person on the other side of the phone watching you isn't. Now, having a few props like this curtain still, a few lights, like 1 or 2 at that point, instead of having just daylight or just 1 light, can help you out. It creates more of an even, like more clear tone. Your camera lens isn't as great on quality. Having lighting can go a long way to setting the quality up on your pictures or photos, and then you can go into editing apps to help clean like some of the rendering of the picture that you had. Now the last one is the 3rd tier. The high tier, I would say you can go really ballistic on this if you have time. People might have like a room for like where they set all this stuff, like an office room or a side room, or even a closet to do all this stuff in, which is not even a bad thing really. Some people like a scenery setup. Like I've seen people they try to do this under the water thing, and they had like a kind of like a photo studio like scroll kind of like paper, and they put it in the back, and sometimes they'll put like these transparent flashy paper to kind of put on the floor so it looks like it's a reflection of water. The girl was sitting on a rock along with like these fake plants that look like coral, so it made her look like she was underwater or sitting above the water looking down into it. That is a great perspective idea of like high budget tier or high tier scenery. Have like a colored or textured background, more different like kind of things than just this. They would add like more things, a wooden frame, and add it, make it look like a window. They would stand next to it with like a little end table here. That's a great way to be high tier without even trying to be. Some people might have like lotus plants in the background. You would get more creative the extra mile that you have. I keep it up like to where you're building the actual environment around you, as that's why set building at a higher tier. A statue or DIY one they bought or made, if not like changing the lighting to 3-point lighting and having a better quality of lighting, like photo studio lighting, or just better lighting that kind of accentuates quality of the person in the video or said picture or photo. Now you could have props that are more high quality or diverse, such as statues, all the above, like different lamps, different stands, clothes stand that they made from like wooden sticks, table set in the background, or you're sitting at it and there's like a mini wall divider along with like a picture of something in the back. That's more of like a higher tier set building, or just more elaborate set building, or a better like photo studio or photo set that you're elaborating or creating on. Once again, like I said before, you can go to public places or public photo studios to have more fun and creativity with it. You don't necessarily need to be in like Hanfu background, but it does help illustrate a story if you choose to have that. Some people like to be wearing Hanfu in modern setting to kind of create a wow factor. Focus on that character in the photo or said film or picture. So that's something to think about. Go to photo booth sets, parks, bio gardens, backyards, Chinese and Asian inspired gardens as well. You can go to libraries, something to create the different dimension from your Hanfu to where the area is. Looking on Pinterest for ideas can help you as well, besides looking into costume dramas. But what did you guys think of the video today? Did you enjoy it? Is it something you were looking for? Or is there any more tips you guys actually know about Hanfu picture taking, or just photography pictures at all? Whether you're a photographer or a person that just takes pictures of someone who, let's say it's a content creator or whatever, or you taking pictures of yourself, please write down below what are some tips that you guys have. Like I would really love to see it. If you guys know any tips, leave it down below for not just me, but everyone else. I will leave down some videos and links of other places you can go to. Thank you guys so much. Don't forget to hit a like and subscribe and hit the bell notification so YouTube can let you know when I have a new video out, because sometimes the algorithm can be twisted. Thank you guys so much for your time today. Don't forget to spread peace, love, and happiness. It's only up to you to make every day beautiful. I will see you ladies and gents later, maybe even in a new sewing video. But bye. Take care. Bye. I gotta go to bed. Yes, I'm recording. You can stop it.